What's up, everybody? What's going on? Welcome to another episode of the Lead From Here podcast right here. Lead from right here, wherever you are, right here. I am Jason. Today we're talking about knowing your audience. This is kind of coming up from a conversation that we had about executive presence in another episode. And I got some emails about it asking kind of like for a little bit more clarity and kind of talking about your different audiences and how do you bring yourself to those different audiences and how do you communicate to those audiences. So let's start with, the executive presence part. So if you're talking to your boss or the executives of your company, you want to make sure that you're coming with a very concise message. You want to make sure that you are clear. You want to make sure you are efficient. You want to make sure that you're getting to the point as quickly as you can. They have literally, especially depending on the size of your company, literally tens to hundreds of people wanting their attention, needing an answer, all those things. So if you send a long message or you ramble on about some topic, you've lost them. Your point is not getting across the way you want it to be. So keep it concise, keep it short. Keep it, it can be light depending on your leadership group, depending on who you are as a person. Make sure it's very natural to you. It can be light, you can throw some jokes in there, you can kind of do a little bit of banter back and forth. But overall, you want to keep it clear, concise, to the point. Make sure your ask is clear. Make sure your next steps is clear. Make sure you know exactly what you need from them to move forward. So that takes us to the next group, which is your peers. So how do you show up for your peers? For your peers, it can be much less guarded, right? You can be a little bit more free-flowing, especially if you have a high level of trust within your peers. If you don't, be careful, definitely keep it, a little guarded if you're around somebody that you maybe don't have a lot of trust in. But if you have a trusting leadership group that you are surrounding yourself with of peers, absolutely, be a little bit more unguarded, build relationships, have conversations about the things you're struggling with, the things that you're enjoying. Keep messages still pretty concise because also they have a lot of things going on. So if it's not just like, hey, happy hour or just shooting the shit, keep it concise, keep your ass concise. So that's really what it is. Peers is much different. It should be closer to who you are, right? Who you are as a person. You should always be who you are, even in the executive presence, but should be closer to your day-to-day activity that you would conversate with your family or your friends outside the company. So that's how I would approach that with your peers. Now, with the people that report to you, that is a little different. Definitely still keep your guard down in most instances, but make sure that you're keeping the goals concise, making sure your strategy is very clear, because if you kind of go to them and you kind of ramble and you kind of talk about a bunch of things, instead of it, you're wasting their time, you're making it very confusing and vague for them in the direction they're heading. So make sure when you're talking to those people, you're being as professional as you can be yourself, absolutely. Be concise in a different way than you are here. So be very clear in what the objectives are for them. Or instead of asking for guidance and support and help up here, you're kind of giving that to your reports, right? That's ultimately instead of the executives, you're going to them saying I need clearance to do this. I need budget to do this. I need an okay to do this, whatever. For here, it's hey, we have those okays. We have the things we need. This is how we're going to execute on it. And make sure it's clear, make sure it's concise, and make sure that they understand where you're going. If they don't, you're gonna be hurting when you get halfway there and realize you're on the wrong path. So that's kind of what the different layers of conversation when you're dealing with different audiences. Now, the keys are making sure you're staying yourself. Be yourself in all of those situations. Just be more guarded depending on who you're talking to. And bring a different style to those conversations, whether that's very hey, I'm leading situation here versus, hey, I'm being led situation at your executives, to hey, we're working together as peers to lead our groups. Very, very different conversations, but they all have the same core of just be yourself. Be as you possibly can be, because people see through the kind of oh, he's got his leader hat on now, so now he doesn't sound like Jason. You don't want that. So yeah, that's it. I hope this was helpful. If you have any questions or want me to dive any more into these topics, please hit me up, jason@leadfromhere.co. If you like what you're hearing, please subscribe, follow, all that good stuff. I would definitely appreciate it. Other than that, hope everybody's doing well. Take care.